Good morning, everyone. Your Aries partners, I appreciate you joining in to our monthly webinars. Today is Thursday, April 11th. I'm so glad that you were able to join in. If you are new to this format, my name's Deb Wilkinson. I'm the Vice President of the Health Plan Options Department here at URL. And my duties include overseeing the group health markets, whether it's, your traditional ACA or large group, self-funded, reference-based pricing, all of those programs we oversee, as well as what's left of the individual market, certainly the short-term medical market, and the ancillary group markets as well, such as your dental, vision, group life, etc. So that is part of what we do here. We also have other departments, such as our Life Markets Department, run by Steve Clemens, and our Annuity Solutions, which is overseen by Joe Corio, who's our Senior VP, and then, of course, our Medicare Offerings Department, co-directed by Christy Wilbert and Karen McDaniel. So we have a lot of offerings here to support our agent partners out there in the field. This webinar is specifically about the under 65 market, and all of those markets I explained, the group health, individual, and short-term and ancillary. But if you do have any other questions, I can certainly take those back to the experts in those fields. Also, during this webinar, we're going to talk about legislative updates that affect the health markets, both on a Commonwealth level here in Pennsylvania or on a national level. Questions are absolutely encouraged. So there's a couple ways you can ask questions. You can either raise your electronic or your electric hand on the control panel to the right of your screen, or you can type in your question in the question box, and I'll answer that at the end of the webinar. So just with a show of hands, if you can see my screen, first of all, hear me okay. You can just raise your hands, that would be great. Let's see. Can everyone see my screen now, maybe? Yes. How about some hands? I'm not seeing any hands. Excellent. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. As you may also come to learn, I struggle with technology. I'm sure it's my age. So let's jump right into the agenda. For our Gemini partners, that we have a weekly webinar. This may be some review. There are some new items here from Tuesday, but again, if you have questions about this, just let me know. First and foremost, HHS a couple weeks ago announced that they were going to approve the grandmothering provisions, and of course, this is the grandmothering are the plans that were in place prior to the health insurance being written, and back when President Obama came out and said, all right, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan, which a lot of folks found out was not true, then made a decision to allow the state's insurance commissioners to make that decision. Pennsylvania all along has approved the grandmothering provisions. It was currently set to expire 12/31 of this year, 12/31 of 19, with compliance being mandatory by 1/1 of 20. But it has now been extended, and Pennsylvania has now extended it so that compliance has to take place by 1/1 of 21. So, of course, we'll hear more from our carrier partners as to how they're going to handle that. Commissioner Altman, Jessica Altman, also announced a reduction in workmen's compensation rates, and that's due to the recent approval of the loss cost. These were reports, based on loss ratios. So many business owners in Pennsylvania will see a reduction in workmen's comp premium, but not all, of course. They go on to say that rates are based on employer risk, classification, of course, and claims experience and some other factors. We talked a little bit about a new health plan from President Trump's administration. In one of his press junkets threw out that he was working on something, so I think maybe it was a bluff, but certainly nothing is going to happen before 2020 election. The only thing that those sort of statements do is create additional instability, which we're really trying to get to some sense of stability. Not that I'm a big proponent of this law at all. I'm just a proponent of stability. So we'll see what happens, but nothing will happen for until 2020. some bills that are on the docket for Pennsylvania: House Bill 629 and Senate Bill, the accompanying Bill 100. It requires health insurers to cover Lyme disease and tick-borne illnesses to include treatment and diagnosis. I guess there was some pushback on that. House Bill 427, excuse the typo there, considering a change to mandated benefits to include the stage 5 advanced metastatic cancer, which would prohibit insurers from excluding or limiting coverage for medications that have already been approved by the FDA. I'm sure those folks in the last stages of their cancer would appreciate that ruling. House Bill 924 prohibits life, accident, and health carriers from discriminating against insured status as a living organ donor or tissue donor. It would also authorize family medical leave to provide care during the transplant preparation and recovery. Specific to UPMC versus Highmark, as we all know, the consent decree is set to expire until on 6/30, June 30th. And Attorney General Josh Shapiro argued that it should be extended. And of course, the ruling against Attorney General Josh Shapiro essentially said that the courts don't have the authority unless both parties agree to change the date. The courts certainly don't have the authority to come in and say, you're going to change it. So I guess, it depends where you're at. That's either a good or bad thing. So let's get into some other information that may be important. At an AFA, we did talk about this. We'll now require individual medical questionnaires for groups of less than 24 enrollees, and that's for 5/1 effective dates. We talked about the Kansas City Life bonus. I did not attach the details, but if you have any interest in learning about those, the bonus program, let me know, and I can shoot you over that email with the brochure about the bonus. And also, I challenge you to look at your group health cases and ask me for a simple $25,000 or $50,000 life insurance quote. It comes with accidental death and dismemberment. It's very inexpensive. I just quoted a 5-person group for $25,000 life and AD&D for about, less than $60 a month. And it also includes travel assistance. It includes some identity theft protection. It includes some vaulted sort of will creation opportunities. So there's a lot of benefit to offering this sort of benefit to your existing groups, and it certainly keeps you in front of them. So again, I challenge you to look at your group clients and send me some rates or send me a group to quote for you. Central Pennsylvania Association of Health Underwriters is having a CE course April 23rd from 9 to 11:30 at the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce. It's $10 for members, $20 for non. They also just announced a save the date for July 17th from 8 to 12 at Hollywood Casino, and it's going to be more sales oriented, a sales summit, if you will. I think they have some interesting topics, and I wanted to share that with you. If I can get my forms out here. So let's see here. They're going to have a presentation by Andy Neary, What's Your Story? 9:45, Financial Wellness, presented by MetLife. And then 11 o'clock, presentation by Gina Dano, Dynamic Meeting Preparation. So I think it's all geared, and I know that Stacy, our president of CPHU, was really trying to get something that would be sales oriented, not just learning, but something that you could really use in your prospecting and helping you remain successful. Another opportunity, URL is one of the sponsors of Senator John DeSanto's Business Leaders Forum. That's on May 2nd from 8 to 11:30. If you are in the Dauphin or Perry counties and have any interest in attending this webinar, let me know. It is going to be a good event. They're going to talk about legislative updates and open discussions, including the minimum wage and energy policy and infrastructure spending. They're going to have a state budget update with Senate Appropriations Chairman Pat Brown, and then presentations on state business financing and support programs available to small business, and then workforce development. So I think many of you out there that are listening are sole proprietors certainly own your own business, and it might be something that you would be interested in attending. So that's really it. That's our agenda for today. I'm going to open it up for questions now. Just get them up here. The subject matter for the CPHU course is, it's about advanced concepts in employer funding. So it's going to look at self-funding and different concepts for putting in spending options. So I think it's also timely if you're in that self-funded market. And the CEs on 423, it is 2 CEs. And Jay is asking who would be best to speak about the medical or health savings account. Jay, you can call me. In fact, I'll call you after this webinar and we can discuss further. If anyone has any other questions, type them now. Just while you're doing that, the next monthly Aries webinar is Thursday, April 18th. So I hope you join us then. There don't appear to be any more questions. As always, I so very much appreciate you joining in, and keep the questions coming. It doesn't have to wait for this monthly format. Keep them coming. I'm happy to assist. And as always, I wish you a great balance of the week and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.